Hi, Butch. So nice to have you pop
Uh,
here today. How are you doing?
thank, thanks, Hal. All good. Very, very happy for some rain here in Wangi. It's a wet, drizzly day, and we're loving it here.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a really good rainy season in Wangi, they're saying, predicting, right?
Yeah, so far so good. Hey, we've got lots of grass coming up. All the elephants are happy. The rhinos are happy. The baby wildebeest and baby impala are all out. Their moms have all got lots of grass and food. The pans are filling up. The ducks are breeding.
Mm.
The fluffy white clouds. Life is good. Yeah.
Special time to actually go and visit the park, we'd really recommend it, right? Get down to
Yeah.
Bomani and Camelthorne this time of the year. It's just so productive. So any last minute safari goers, we know that's one of the best areas in Africa to go and do some game viewing now. But that's really super to hear. But thank you so much for popping on today. I'm just, last year, the achievements that Imvelo had in the conservation and community space, which has always been our ethos and the work that Imvelo does is just so tangible and the numbers are so huge. Can you just give us just a quick overview of last year and what was actually focused on and the impact that Imvelo made?
Yeah. Hale, so the big issue we had to get through last year was we had two things that we were kind of dealing with. One was coming out of COVID. Camps were all a little bit tired. So we did a huge amount of work on camps last year. Remember, we literally went through it from top to bottom, and it's almost a new camp. The buildings are the same, but nothing else. Everything else we put in new in there, and I'm really proud how that turned out. We did the main lodge in Bomani, and we did quite a bit in the rooms as well in Bomani and Camelthorne, but more to do this year. Josie got a lot of love last year, but we're really happy that we managed to really start pushing the camps back up or in a place where they're better than they've ever been. But the big thing we had to deal with last year, Hels, was the drought. We had this terrible drought that unfolded at the beginning of last year, and we knew straight away that we're going to face a lot of wildlife mortality if we didn't get on top of it. We did get on top of it. I'm real pleased to say. We deepened a lot of boreholes. We put bigger pumps in, bigger solar panels. We did all kinds of stuff. And by the beginning of last dry season, I was predicting possibly thousands of dead elephants dying in Wangi. As it turned out, they didn't. And I know on our side we lost some elephants, but nothing like any kind of large numbers. And a lot of that is because of the work we did. We counted up by the time we finished the season. Anna doing the numbers as usual came up. She reckoned we pumped zero point 0.8 billion liters of water. Staggering.
Staggering.
And so what effectively happened was that by the end of the dry season, pans were nice and full still, which meant animals could come in, they could drink, and they could turn around and get back out to feeding grounds. There was no queuing and waiting for water. In droughts past, often the elephants come and they've got to wait for an hour or two, or they fight to get to the water, and it's more stress and trouble. But that didn't happen. And I really think providing more water there just really helped get the animals through. The other big things, of course, all the stuff we did for the communities. We did massive amounts of feeding. We did 450,000 school lunches. We did at least 130-ton
You know,
load of maize.
I have to jump in there
Um,
because, you just say 450,000 meals like it's such a massive number. And the work that goes on behind the scenes to actually source the food, get it to those children. And what I've always noticed, and it's something I do want to just mention, is how when children have that motivation to come and have that meal, which could be their only meal they get a day, now they're coming to school, they are having a full tummy, they're concentrating. I mean, we've seen the pass marks go up tremendously. So it's that domino effect of, not only making sure they have the nourishment and nutrition, but how it also actually plays out in the educational sphere too is just tremendous. So
yeah,
it has so much of an impact.
yeah. We found out right from the beginning when we first started school lunch program more than 10 years ago, 15 years ago probably, is that the kids it keeps attendance at school at 100%. During these drought years when, as you say, kids are missing meals, they're only getting one meal a day, maybe one every 2 days. suddenly they just don't have energy to come to school. But provided we can keep the kids coming to school, they still don't fall behind a year. They still got a fighting chance for exams in a year or two. And yeah, it's a big win. The other big one we had last year, our annual Smile and See safari. That's with our overseas doctors and dentists that join with a strong Zimbabwean team. And we go around the district. Is This last year again was the big, every year we seem to just break records. But this one, we did 7,200 patients in 6 clinics, in 6 consecutive days. Just incredible hard work. But yeah, these numbers, as you say, they roll off. We've done nearly 50,000 patients now in that program. Exciting things are adding on to it. We did polio vaccinations added on to it. Filling in gaps where Ministry of Health, there were unvaccinated kids out there. We did it became a Smile and See and Sew, we opening up these sewing clubs all around the district that are sewing all kinds of stuff for people. But one of the important things is, of course, hygienics, washable sanitary pads for ladies, and in particular schoolgirls, high school girls. They go through a tough time at high school when if they don't if they don't have access to that kind of stuff. So all kinds of good stuff there. Really, again, you put it in context. I know 4 urban hospitals in Bulawayo town, that's our provincial town. We do more in a day under tents, under trees, than are done in 4 urban hospitals. So it's kind of really proud of that program. It's massive, incredible. But anyway.
It just shows again when we talk about our communities being our partners, it is really having, yourself, Hannah, the team that we have on the ground there, and it's talking to them and finding out what do they really need, where can we really make a difference to their lives. They can live with more dignity, they can actually have those basics provided. And to me, that is the sign of a true partnership. It's not just us throwing what we think they need, it's also it's really listening to them and then delivering on that. And it's relentless in terms of the passion and the spirit that Imvelo continuously puts in. So a big well done, and to the team, and just another reason Imvelo continues to just be this gem, this shining gem in the Wangi National Park area and district, and just really leading with from the front and by example. So
yeah,
I'm very excited to hear what as we always spearhead new innovations in this space, what Imvelo has on the plans for 2025.
So yeah, Al, so one of the very big things we did last year that I didn't mention earlier was, of course, we opened up Sanctuary 2, and our second rhino sanctuary. And this is a community-based rhino sanctuary. It's on communal land. It's not in a park. It's not on private land, but it's land that communities have set aside deliberately so they can bring rhino onto their land, and they can become part of looking after rhino and hopefully earning the benefit. So Sanctuary 2 opened last year, and community down around Mlevu and Gwenga villages, they set aside an area 5 times larger than Sanctuary 1, so they really have dived into it. And they're from a community that, frankly, a little bit further away from all the tourism love. So they can see clearly what they need to do. They need to kind of step things up, and that's good that they're doing that. And what we've managed to do down there is we have turned an old camp, rebuilt it and fixed it up, and restarting a volunteerism camp down there. And I'm not sure what we call it, but it'll kind of be a 3-star camp, but it's right embedded in Sanctuary number 2. And it's in an area that there are lots of fun things to do, well off the beaten trail. I'm really excited about bringing that online this year, I spoke earlier about the camp refurbs and stuff we're going to be doing with Bamani and Camelthorne to kind of try and get them up to Nahimba level again. And they're getting that way, and they did very well last year. Very few, in fact, virtually no guest complaints. You and I were talking earlier about our guest questionnaires, and we had 99.76% scored an A or a B. So we either met or exceeded expectations. So I think that's a good measure. People are happy. People are having fun out there. They're loving it. And they're loving Wangi, But Level Volunteerism Camp, we're ready to roll there, and all kinds of fun things to do. They're a little bit different, much more immersive. Our typical safaris at Camelthorne or Bamani, or even down at Josie, we definitely immerse our guests in both conservation activities and in community-based activities. But here we're looking to take it, one level more than that, And I can see where this camp might be really a real nice 2 or 3 day add-on for a family. that's on a more typical safari circuit, looking for a few days where a family can enjoy something different and perhaps expose their kids to something different. Or groups of people can get together and say, hey, come on, let's go and spend a week or 10 days down here and let's go and try and make a difference. So I believe it appeals to a variety of different people that might be thinking about safaris. But we're right next to Wangi National Park, so there's still plenty of opportunity to go for game drives in the park and go to Wangi's waterholes and go and have bush lunches and go and do all the fun things that we do at all the other Imvelo properties. So that's kind of how we envisage Mlevu.
Yes, so you can come and do, all the core safari activities at Bamani or
Yes,
Kamerford, that Imvelo is known for: the hike, the Elephant Express, the walking, the night drives, the rhino. And then if you want to go even further into actually helping make a difference, like with your days, then you come and spend a night or two or three at the new ecotourism camp. And but still you don't have to now not do anything safari related. So you're saying you can then
yes,
still go and do a game drive in the evening. So it's a continuation, but then just a slight variation on what
yes,
maybe the core kind of purposes of those few days. You mentioned you had
yes.
a couple of slides, maybe to give us some context of where it is.
Yeah,
And yeah, please do share that. That would be super too.
sure. If you just bear with me here while I share the screen, you know what I mean? The Zimba with the IT skills of a dinosaur. Is that, did we get a map of Wangi National Park there?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we're good to go. All right. So, all these stories always start with Wangi National Park. It's this park that I love so much, 5,000 square miles, 15,000 square kilometers, nearly 50,000 elephants, over 600 adult lions. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful wilderness. Very few camps, very few tourists compared to places like Chobe or Serengeti. But of course, where we're interested in, I don't know if you can see my icon, but the southern boundary of Wangi along Chilocho Commonland, that's where this big interface of people and wildlife occurs. Okay, it's one of the biggest interfaces of people and wildlife in the whole of Kaza, actually. Excuse me. So really important place where we really get communities involved with conservation and then make sure that they enjoy tourism benefits. Um, this next slide, when it comes up here, there it comes. I hope it's coming up. Yeah, thumbs up, you can see it. Yes, it is. So that's a kind of a zoom in on that southern boundary of Wangi. Okay, up in the northern part of that, in the top of that picture, you'll see where wildlife sanctuary number 1 is that red spot there. That's our first sanctuary that we introduced our first 2 rhino, Tuza and Kusase, in 22. That epic, groundbreaking, innovative rhino conservation ecotourism adventure is what it's been. And that's in the space around where Camelthorne is and Bomani. If you come further south, each one of those icons in Chilocho Commonland represents some community-based program that we've done. It might be school feeding. You can see the cross knives and forks there. It might be solar panels, which are pumping water for people. And it might be one of the other programs that we roll out there in terms of school feeding, and clinics and classroom building and stuff. But if you see there where it says Wildlife Sanctuary number 2, that's the Mlevu Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay, and those communities there have set aside that land specifically to reintroduce rhino. We bought those 2 rhino in there last year. The rhinos are called Mlevu after the senior headman in the area, and a senze, which means come on, let's go and do it, and let's get started here. And those 2 rhino are in that area there. If I go to the next picture, this is just a Google Earth. That's a map of the sanctuary zoomed in, and you can see in the corner there, you see where it says Mandevo Mlevu Camp. That's where the camp is, on the corner of that sanctuary. And it's just a very short distance from the Wangi National Park boundary. You can see Gwenga Gate, where you can go into the park and go and visit places like Dupan, Pagazan, that are all a short driving distance away. But to the south, you can also see where places like Mlevu Skula, you can see Gwenga Borehole. So these are the villages that are, and the community that has been part of setting up this land. So if we go on to the next one, that's a picture of Mlevu Camp, and the core of that is a big family tent. Those of you who've been to Bomani or familiar with it know that big family tent that we have on the eastern side of the camp. We have one of those as the center of this thing, and it's got 2 ensuite bathrooms there and a nice little lounge and dining room. So it's well suited for mom and dad and maybe a couple of kids or maybe a couple of couples who are friends. Inside is it's not luxurious, but it's very comfortable. And the rooms are there with ensuite showers and bathrooms, very, very similar to the Bomani family tent, which um, many of you are familiar with. But then added on around the outside, we've got um, 5 accommodation units. 3 of them are thatched bungalows like this one here, and 2 of them are tented. But basically, they're a little bit more simpler accommodation, but certainly comfortable. They've got ensuite bathroom, ensuite loo. This one happened to be set up with twin beds. But there you got a flush loo, you got basin, hot and cold running water, you got a shower, and perfectly comfortable. The tents are set up the same way. The tents are actually the same ones as at Joe's Benini, but the difference being they've got running water. Okay, so what do you do when you come down here? Okay, so obviously you can do all the things I was talking about, going to the park and game drives and all that kind of thing. But what we're looking to do here more is a more immersive, getting your hands a little bit dirty, getting involved with conservation, rhino conservation stuff, and of course the community stuff. And of course down here is Mlevu Rhino Sanctuary. There's Ipatuli and his brother Cedric, Charlie Mike, 2 of the Cobra Rangers who guard these rhino 24/7. You see their big grins and smiles. They really are absolute heroes of this project. They come from walking distance of these sanctuaries. We've trained them up, the British Army spec, and they are very good at their jobs, and they love their jobs. Much more fun taking care of rhino and doing things for their community than it is going away and trying to get a job in South Africa. And there the 2 boys are. That's Mlevu on the left and Asenzi on the right. 2 wonderful, great big white rhino bulls that are there. They're roaming around their new sanctuary and they're marking territory like crazy, and they really settled in there really nicely now. They're habituated to Cobra Rangers, but it's great fun just going on patrol with them. And certainly one of the activities we're looking at there is actually just monitoring their daily movements. You know, we send in a report on them every 15 minutes. What are they doing? Are they sleeping? Are they eating? Are they drinking? And then what are they eating? Are they grazing Cynodon grass or are they grazing panicum grass? So these reports are ideal. But a great way to start your day down there is going for a run with the Cobra Rangers. Okay. And they can, of course, run 30 kilometers if you want to, but you don't necessarily have to. But a nice little 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer jog with the Cobras in the morning is just a great way to start the day. And of course, usually they chant and sing, and it's really inspiring and great fun. And part of them keeping themselves fit, it's a great way to stretch your legs in the morning and build up a bit of a sweat before you go for a shower. But in no particular order here, I've grouped all these pictures together with a whole bunch of activities that you can do when you stay at a Mlevu ecotourism camp. And this is obviously the Cobra Rangers out with their rhinos. They're guarding them and looking after them. Of course, you can join the guys now. What we're looking for a lot from our volunteerists is to record data for us. Okay, and we're going to be picking up data and just simple data. You don't need to be an ecologist to do it, but certainly monitoring what are they doing every 15 minutes. Are their activities, and in particular what kind of grass and stuff they're using. Our canine unit has got a training base down there. That's Cobra Ranger Smile there with his black belt, and that's Whisper, who's our one of our Belgian Mallies, and she's going over her obstacle course there. See much to the delight of some visitors we had there a couple of weeks ago, actually, and actually going around with the Cobra Rangers. And I don't have many pictures of it, but monitoring what kind of grass they're eating. In this case, it's Cynodon dactylon, but there's a nice record of what they're eating, and this becomes useful for the ecologists and monitoring what we're doing here. And of course, when these rhinos arrived, late September last year, it was the middle of a drought, so we were supplementary feeding them. That supplementary feeding is busy wrapping up now, but there's always all kinds of activities to do with the Cobra Rangers that are related to taking care of those rhino. One of my favorite things, of course, is just going up to the school, getting your Land Cruiser, and let's go and fetch a couple of carloads of kids after they finish school. Of course, these kids, those are kids. You can see the blue uniforms. They come from Level School. That's right nearby. And that young girl in a t-shirt, in the pink shirt, she's a prefect. So she's a class monitor, and she's leading her classroom of kids down to come and see the new rhino. You know, very, very proud walking next to the Cobra Ranger there and learning about rhino, learning about wildlife and all kinds of things. Nice green season picture there. And there, all the kids are there now, lined up and looking at the rhino, watching them and learning all about them. And that's just a great way to spend a day. I don't care what kind of a tourist you are from anywhere, but you put a carload of kids together from one of the schools out here and take them down to go and see their rhino, and it's just really fulfilling. Really, really a great way to spend your morning. Of course, one of the things, of course, you're going to do is all of our kids walk to school in the mornings. So a great way to go to school is actually to go and walk to school with the kids. And if you can be up for a run with the Cobras, you might not be up to that, but hey, a little walk to school with the kids, a couple of kilometers in the morning, off to school, and a great way to break down barriers. Start getting kids to talk to you. You start talking to them. What's your name? Where are you from? Helps them practice English. English is one of our national languages, not spoken much at home. And certainly kids with a good grasp of English have got a much better fighting chance for the future, in terms of getting a job. Here's one of our Imvelo guides. And when you stay at Mlevu camp, you're going to have one of our guides. We're very proud of our guides. They come from the communities around Wanga National Park. These guys are not come from some high school in town or anything like that. And that's Petele Mlevu, who actually went to school at this very school where you're picking up kids. He's from that village. His grandfather is Baba Mlevu, and nothing prouder than Pete when he takes you around in his own home village, in his own home area. And when you get to Mlevu School, it's a little bit tired. Mlevu School hasn't had the love that some of the other schools have had. The new classroom block there, kids are a little bit overcrowded, a little bit busy, but even some of the kids are still being schooled outside. So lots to be done here at Mlevu School. I'm looking forward to this camp, Mlevu camp, really becoming part of building the school up and bringing it forward and getting it as jacked up as Ngamo School is. Those of you who visited Ngamo School will know what I mean. Okay, that's kind of great activity right there. Straight away, let's try and clean up these classrooms. Let's do some guys have done a bit of cement work on the corner there, and now it's painting time. And a couple of hours spent painting, great fun. Get the kids involved. The next thing you know, you've got a smart-looking classroom block again. What a nice way to spend a couple of hours. And certainly doesn't cost you a lot of money. We can always find a couple $100 for a couple of 20-liter pots of paint, and we can get out there and get the classrooms fixed up. We spoke earlier about the school feeding programs, and the school feeding programs are a chore. We're feeding 3,000 kids a day at 14 schools. It takes a lot of food. The trucks come from town. The Imvelo trucks on their way to camps, they're dropping off food for us. Got to be offloaded, got to get that food out there. We've got to get into the school kitchens and get these huge, great big pots, these pots of maize meal cooked and ready. And that's maheu. There it gets made into a break time drink. It's a millet-based energy drink, and the kids love it. They have a nice big bottle of maheu at tea time, but at lunchtime they get something more substantial. And there's some suds and beans going out. And then you can actually see that's a younger group. We had a group of varsity age students that were actually there that particular day, and they're busy serving out food. And it's kind of just a fun way to help. There's lots of people to help do these things, but when you get involved, we can do that much more and get it done quicker. Learning how to make suds is a great chore that not everybody enjoys, but it's certainly part of what goes on at the school kitchens. Look at the smiles on those kids' faces there. And by the time, believe me, when they're finished eating, those plates are licked clean, So it's really gratifying. You come away from it feeling that you've spent a useful couple of hours, One of my favorite things as well is some of these kids at some of these schools, there'll be 30, 40 kids in a class. You can imagine a Zimbabwean school teacher trying to keep 30 or 40 kids all up to scratch. And what happens, you get a lot of kids fall behind. Okay, and another great way to spend a couple of hours in the afternoon is speak to one of the teachers and say, all right, look, let's have a couple of 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1 reading extra classes, and some of those kids now, we can set them up with our volunteers, with our tourists who are really trying to get a bit more immersive here, and set you down with 2 or 3 kids. And okay, let's practice some reading now. Let's kind of go through this. When they're stumbling on words, give them a hand and just really try and help with that. And we've got some of our school books that were written by Lindsay Norman from Cape Town. They're actually contextual books that are stories about the villages where they come from. And those are great places to start. You see the kids learning to read, but they're not reading about teddy bears and pine trees or anything silly, but like that. They're learning about things that are life in their own villages. One of the other programs, and I spoke earlier, is about our sewing clubs. These sewing clubs are making school uniforms for kids. They're repairing clothes for people, and of course, getting involved in Julie Pippin's program. There's Hannah on the right there Doris, with Dorothy Ngube, is sewing and making washable, hygienic sanitary pads, and these are just life changing in terms of health care for ladies. That's Mrs. Mlevu on the left there with her sewing club there, and they're learning this how to use it. She's teaching other ladies how to sew and how to work these manual sewing machines and churning out all kinds of things. And that includes stuff to sell at the courier markets. And there's everybody delighted with their new uh, feats there. Another great thing, of course, in the evening after school, everybody loves to play soccer. People are soccer mad in Zim, soccer and netball, and a game of soccer with one of the local teams. Everybody has great fun. And you know what? End of a soccer match, you've always got to have a prize. I think there was a particular little uh, a little cup that we gave that day for the team that won. I'm not sure who won that day, but I've probably got an idea. And of course, we spoke about you're 2 kilometers from Wangi National Park. Okay, it's easy. Jump in a game drive car and off you go into the park, and let's go and see what we can see. Heard buffalo there. Game drives. That's a young group again, a school, a varsity group, a university group, uh, enjoying Wangi's elephants. And there's the lookup blind. This is our signature lookup blind. There's one that's only an hour's drive from Level Camp at Stoffy's Pan. What a great place to go and spend an evening inside, up close with this Wangi's wonderful, wonderful elephants. Bush lunches, cheeseburgers being served there. Thank goodness, my favorite. Of course, you go down to one of the waterholes after work in the afternoon or the evening whenever you choose to knock off and go and have a meal inside the park at one of the waterholes. And what a great place to sit with your family. Elephants coming down to drink, other wildlife's coming down, and just enjoy the wildlife. And this is a fun thing for families. It's a fun thing for um, older people as well. And of course, how are you going to get to us? Well, you get to us with our signature Elephant Express. The same way as you get to any of the Imvelo camps. You can do a road transfer, do an Elephant Express transfer, and lucky coming down the railway tracks on the Elephant Express, you bump into some of our lions or elephants, and it really is. That's a moment that you'll always remember. Or you can fly in. And Mac Air is doing wonderful work for us with his caravan aircraft for there, servicing Wangi's airstrips and camps. And from Mlevu Camp, you're only a 30-minute drive, maybe 20-minute drive actually, from our nearest airstrip which is the Bomani airstrip. And of course, anybody that's coming down here, you're going to go to Victoria Falls. So it's so easy to patch that in a night or two at the end or the beginning of a visit to Mlevu Camp. You go and see this bucket list, wonderful, iconic, beautiful, natural wonder of the world, and these kind of scenes you can enjoy. And it's an easy add-on to a visit to our camp, And I think that was kind of where I finished this trip, is a couple of days in Victoria Falls. Hales?
Absolutely. I think, going and seeing another natural wonder, something else that's just so epic in Zimbabwe to finish off, is certainly going to be a highlight. I don't know if you actually have maybe the link even that Hannah created, a really wonderful website for us, which also summarizes, what you can do. I don't know if that's possible for you to type up, and we can share that too, just in case people want to go and read up a little bit more about it. Otherwise, I'll add the link into the presentation for people to go.
Yeah, Hales, you probably want to add that link. I could find it here, but I'm going to have a hard time finding it. As I say, my Zimbabwean IT dinosaur skills are.
But tell me, just going through that and listening to you, how many nights do you think would be a good amount of time to come and give of your time and resources as a volunteer and a guest to come to something like the Mlevu ecotourism, to feel that you are fulfilled through the work and to also make a significant impact, with all these projects?
Yeah, Haley, it's so hard because I know different people have got different aspirations, but I know if you went and spent 3 nights there, you'd have 2 full days. And in those 2 full days, you could spend a lot of time helping the Cobra Rangers with some of the rhino work. You can spend a lot of time up the local school. You probably even have time to visit one of the engines and pumps and do some work with the game water supply. So that what I would suggest would be probably what you want a minimum. You could do 2 nights, but certainly 3 nights would be a good starting point. But I don't think you would have any problem at all if you can spend 7 nights down there of being busy doing different stuff all the time, all the way through a week there. Very, very easy because there's so much to do. You're right in the middle of an area where there's lots of different things to do and lots of different things going on. And like I say, you can start one morning off going for a run with the cobras. Another morning, go for a walk with the kids. Another morning is actually just going into the park to go and look for lions, in an early morning patrol. So there's lots of stuff to do in a short distance from there. The camp's comfortable. Um, uh, you're not gonna want for anything.
3 nights to, a week. I mean, the amount of things that you were talking about there, I think, if this is somebody's passion and they are even thinking that this could be the type of work they're really interested in going into, I think coming and really spending time with the team and learning from them, you can spend a good amount of time there. And I think we priced as such that it's more accessible for people to spend longer there too, right?
Yes, and that's obviously one of the things too, is you can add a couple of days here at a much more reasonable price than perhaps you might be paying at the more upmarket camps, and it gives you another 3, 4, 5 days in Africa, 6, 7 days in Africa that you might not otherwise be able to do. So that's another way to package this thing if you're looking at that instead of coming for a week at the more um, higher price range camps. You could come and spend 10 days for not very much more money by staying at a camp like this. And frankly, come away from it with a different feeling. Maybe I've done something a little more than other people have done. When I travel through Vic Falls Airport, I can look at other tourists and say, well, hang on, I did something you guys didn't do, and I'm really proud of what I did. So it's definitely a way that I would look at it.
The words rewarding and gratifying a lot in there, and I think this is exactly what that would be. I think blanket use of the words like safari with purpose is spoken about a lot, but this is really it, right? This is like the coal face of a safari with purpose.
Yes,
As you were talking through it, I could just see this really resonating with such a variety of different types of people from, as you say, like families with kids that want to afford their children that opportunity to really come and integrate with the Zim kids and have that great cultural experience and wildlife. I can see it resonating with kids that are thinking, what do they want to do with their life? Do I maybe want to be a ranger? Do I want to be an ecologist? Let me come and spend some time on the ground, do some practical work and see if this is for me. Just as much all the way through to, families that have maybe spent already, like say 6 nights in our Imvelo circuit, but then, do really want to actually just give more of their time and just come for a couple of nights. And as you say, go back really feeling like they have done something meaningful and different, and immersed with Zim and Wangi in a different way. So I think it's such a great spectrum, that it would appeal to so many different people for different reasons, and all of them would be making
yes,
an impact.
yes. And from my point of view, the reason that I'm passionate about it is that I know it's making a difference to the communities that live on the coalface of Wangi National Park, that are dealing with all the issues of the wildlife. They are dealing with very, very tough lives and making their lives better, and it being linked with tourism, and they can see that tourists are helping them, and they know the tourists are coming here and they're coming to see wildlife, and them linking all those three elements together. It's not only life changing for the people, but it really makes a difference for the conservation of wildlife and for the conservation of Wangi Park. And you know what? It's making the world a better place. So happy days.
And I would even really encourage our tour operators that support us, when they're coming down to see the camps and experience Wangi, just to build in that extra 2 nights and come and spend some time there. Because, the people we work with in this industry, a lot of them are in it because they absolutely love Africa, the people, the wildlife. And so what a great way now to, if they're thinking where they want to go and see this year and learn more of, come and do this. Come and spend time, obviously, seeing the Imvelo circuit, and then add on those extra 2 nights and come and do something that is really meaningful in 2025. So I also kind of put the challenge out to our trade, right, to come and join us on this. So
Absolutely.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And so when is this going to be open? Can people start booking it immediately?
Absolutely. We're open now. I'm more than happy that facilities are up to scratch. We've got staff. Imvelo's got a good staff team. We've got lots of chefs. We've got lots of waiters. We've got lots of cooks. Obviously, we've got lots of guides, and so that team is available right away. And obviously we are taking on new staff again, which is good. We're creating employment, and the newbies are working under the experienced veterans, and they're learning their trade. So, but yeah, level camp is open. We're ready to go.
Wonderful. And I really encourage us all step up and do something very meaningful in 2025. And as you say, make the world a better place. The world is a bit chaotic at the moment, but what's in our control, this is a wonderful initiative. So well done to the whole Imvelo team. And what I also love, and I think will be a very positive impact coming out of this ecotourism lodge, is that I think it will help the momentum of the Mlevu Sanctuary to really go quicker. And this also feeds into our longer term aspirations for the White Rhino project down in those boundaries. So hopefully we can get onto Sanctuary 3, 4, and 5, just that much quicker, which is what we all want to do and see. So there's so many benefits to this program and to this new initiative. So please, to the trade and anyone watching today, definitely, follow along. I'm going to send the link out in this presentation. Go and have a look at the website, get in touch with myself, any of our reps around the world, our res team. We'll be more than happy to get you involved as quick as possible. Follow along on Imvelo's Instagram page, Imvelo Safari Lodgism. They'll be definitely posting about it and sharing some great stories and images, as well as on my page, Africa Hidden Gems. That's something I'm very much looking forward to sharing as we go through the year and reporting back on some of the great stories that guests, the trade, and our people on the ground have to say about it. So thank you, Butch, for your time today, and good luck as the year gets going. And I can't wait to get down to Wangi and see it all in action during the course of the year.
Thank you, Haley, and thanks very much, everybody else, for listening to us. Sorry I droned on for a bit long, but looking forward to seeing you there soon. Cheers.
It's all relevant and for such a worthy cause. So thanks, Butch. So awesome seeing you. Ciao.
Ciao. Thanks.